In the 1940s, America was a whirlwind of imagination and transformation. The global anxiety of World War fueled suburban dreams and the baby boom, while the flicker of television screens began to illuminate living rooms across the nation.
Welcome to Movie Voyage Through Space and Time.
Woo! I'm Zach.
And I'm Sylvana.
We are going through a cinematic voyage through each decade where movies have been made. Today, we're going to be talking about the 1940s.
That's right. Today's stop is Pinocchio, where we will be examining how this movie contributed to solidifying Disney's reputation as a cornerstone of American animation and entertainment. Mm-hmm. We are going to begin by talking about who directed this film, the actors, some fun tidbits and such.
I love tidbits.
Are you ready?
I think tidbits are actually often my favorite.
Really?
Yeah. Skip the meat. Just give me tidbits.
Tidbits. Mm-hmm. So a whole hour of just us telling them fun facts about the movie Pinocchio.
You think we could do? I think we could actually. For almost
There's a lot.
Any old Disney movie,
Yeah.
I'm sure there is an entire documentary's worth
That's
of
right.
tidbits and information.
That's so true.
Yeah.
There's so much to say. I mean, there's so much Disney lore.
That's true.
We're speaking now to you Disney adults.
And if you would consider yourself a Disney adult, I consider you brave. If you want to lie to yourself and say you're listening to a podcast episode on Pinocchio and you're not a Disney adult, well, I want to tell you to look into a mirror, a magic mirror on the wall, and it's going to tell you who's the most hypocritical of them all.
Oh my God. Okay, well, welcome Disney adults. So this movie had two supervising directors at this point in time. With early animation, Disney would often hire several directors or supervising directors to kind of shepherd the project through and kind of act more as like creative directors more than anything. The names of the supervising directors for Pinocchio are Hamilton Lusky and Ben Sharpstein. Thank you, Ben and Hamilton.
That's right. Were they the ones that were competing? I'm actually just going to get started on a tidbit right now.
Oh, okay. Tell me.
Were they the ones that were trying to figure out the style of Pinocchio?
I think that's right. They were the ones that Disney basically handpicked to be like, you translate what is Pinocchio, the classic Italian old folk tale, into something that is Disneyfied,
yeah. And apparently neither of them were doing anything that Disney actually liked. So they had So there was some other guy that came in and was like, "Hey guys, you guys are being a little too literal about him being a puppet. Stop drawing him like a wooden puppet. He doesn't need to jangle and wiggle around like this."
That's interesting.
And they were like, "But he's a puppet." And this guy was like, "Hey man, he's not
Disney.
He's not a real puppet though. He's a cartoon, isn't he? Draw him like a child and then erase the child stuff and draw wooden joints."
That's funny.
That's all you have to do.
I mean, that is interesting because I feel like Disney does this fairly often, especially, I don't mean Disney the corporation, but
Disney the man.
The man,
the
Disney,
myth, the legend, the Nazi.
That's right. He very often felt like people did not really live up to the creative potential that he saw in his head of things and would ask new people to join or new people to do things and things like that. It was very hard to please him, it seems like.
Yeah, and I'm sure that made him very hard to work with.
That's right.
And yet, it turned out some amazing material.
That's right.
You know, you can't.
We can talk about workers' rights later. We should.
I don't think we ever should.
Oh well,
I don't think
feel
workers
like
deserve rights.
I can't let you say that on a podcast where I'm also a host.
All right.
I am very pro workers' rights.
Yeah.
It is my job. Anyway, so let me tell you about the actors.
Yeah.
Cliff Edwards played Geppetto. Geppetto, is that his name? Yes, Geppetto. I couldn't think of it for a second. Dickie Jones was...
What a name.
Was Pinocchio.
Do you think that's on his birth certificate, Dickie?
Yeah, I'm sure it is. I'm sure he's dead now, but I'm sure it is.
It's got to be Richard, right?
No,
Or do you
Dickie.
think his mother was
he's
like...
so Dickie.
I want this guy and his name to be Dickie. Ah!
She's
and then
from
she died on the she died on the birthing table.
1940s.
She was giving birth and she was like, I want him to be called Dickie.
Yeah, her last wish.
Dying breath.
Yeah, it was call my son Dickie.
Man.
Well,
what a mother.
What a mother.
If I were him, I would have been happy she died.
Whoa. Okay. Well,
That's maybe too far. I'm sorry.
it's okay. I don't think the descendants of Dickie Jones are going to be listening to this podcast.
What if they did, though? Maybe they find every Pinocchio-related podcast episode and listen to that.
That's true. Yeah. Well, Dickie Jones played Pinocchio, and Christian Rupp played Jiminy Cricket.
Rub.
Rub.
Am I just going to riff on everybody's name?
Yeah, well, apparently.
Ben Sharpstein always reminds me of Ben Shapiro. What about that?
Yeah. I'm actually surprised that it took you this long to mention that. I thought you were going to say it immediately after I said it the first time.
I thought about it.
Yeah. That makes sense.
But I didn't. No, I was showing self-restraint.
Self-restraint, yes.
I wanted to be a good podcast host and not cut across your very interesting information.
I'm very proud of you.
Thank you.
Okay, I'll give some context for the movie. Pinocchio was a groundbreaking film in so many areas, especially in effects and animation. For the first time, we were really seeing realistic movement when it came to vehicles, machinery, natural elements such as rain, water, lightning, smoke, shadow. I think you read a lot about that, about water in particular in Pinocchio and such. We can talk about that a little bit later on.
Can do.
But yeah, this film is heralded as basically the first big moment where Disney was able to really make things even just that little bit more realistic that they had been in animation before. This is only the second Disney animated movie after Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, which also was pretty good, actually, when it comes to the animation. You and I saw it kind of recently.
And I'm speaking of bringing up interesting water techniques. The water in Snow White was also pretty incredible.
Yeah, it was.
At least in some moments. Other times it kind of looks like cartoon water, but sometimes it looks way too realistic, like it should have been CG or something. But it wasn't. And we can get into that. But I'm interested to hear you say that this was the first time we were seeing properly animated things like shadow.
Yeah. That's right.
I felt like we saw shadow.
Pretty good shadow.
Were there not shadows in Snow White?
I think there were, but I just don't think
people were just like, terrible.
They were as realistic. I'm just saying, I don't think it was as realistic.
It looks like a black ghost following them around.
Yeah, it probably did.
It's not a shadow.
It didn't follow the movement or the actual light source and things like that. That is a big thing.
Sure.
I feel like understanding where light source is and what actually it does to shadows is a big thing that they probably didn't have fully a grasp of.
Yeah.
In Snow White. So, Pinocchio was kind of a really groundbreaking film when it came to Disney. And it led to a lot of other films later in the decade that Disney put out that people loved, like Dumbo and Bambi.
Well, didn't all four of these movies, Fantasia, Dumbo, Bambi, and Pinocchio, all come out in 1940?
I think it was all in the 1940s.
Oh, I thought we had read something that said at least Fantasia and Pinocchio came out both in the 1940.
Yeah, 1940. I think Dumbo and Bambi closer to mid 40s.
Well, anyway, two movies with absolutely astounding levels of just human drawn animation.
Yeah.
And they both came out in the same year.
Yeah.
That's pretty incredible. It is a real testament to what a work taskmaster Disney was.
Well, this is another tidbit, but Bambi was originally supposed to come out before Pinocchio, and Disney was like, we have to redo this. Like, these animals don't look good. These animals don't look realistic enough. We gotta table it and work harder on this. Let's figure out how to get out Pinocchio out first, and that'll give us more time to work on Bambi.
Okay, so this is my question that I think I put to you earlier, in which I know you don't have an answer. To which I know you don't have an answer.
Maybe I do now. I don't know.
Well, okay, I hope you do, because my question is, how did he have money to employ all of these animators and make them absolutely slave away over pens and pads for hours and hours and days and years without releasing movies? Enough so that he could table an entire movie and say, no, just don't release it right now. We're going to do it all again.
Yeah, that's right. I think generational wealth, I'm assuming.
Really? Is it true?
It has to be. And also, I mean, like a lot of people back then were willing to work for measly wages.
Taking advantage.
For, the opportunity to get in on groundbreaking.
Well, yeah, but how would they know?
Art. You don't think people back then thought that animation was going to be a groundbreaking art?
Oh, no, I think they might have.
Yeah, I'm sure they did.
When did Looney Tunes come out? Was Looney Tunes kicking at the time, or was that inspired by Disney?
I have no idea.
I'm not going to wade into those waters yet, but what I will say, because I think Mel Blanc was supposed to be in this movie. Here's a tidbit for you. Mel Blanc was supposed to be in this movie. He was supposed to voice the drunk cat that was following around the evil fox.
Oh, I hated that character.
I know. Well, he was supposed to have a voice, and Mel Blanc recorded 16 weeks worth of dialogue for that cat.
And then they were like, never mind.
Disney was like, no, that's all going to be replaced by one hiccup.
That's insane. That is genuinely insane.
Yeah. Anyway, but Mel, I bring that up to say because Mel Blanc was also the original Looney Tunes voice actor.
Oh, interesting.
He did so many characters in Looney Tunes.
So then maybe Looney Tunes was already
around the same time.
About, yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah,
but
I don't know.
Yeah, so all of that to say that, I think that animation at that time was supposed to be this groundbreaking, revolutionary thing. But did Disney have name recognition for that yet? Like, why were people bending over backwards to work for him?
After Snow White?
No, but first starting with Snow White.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe people weren't bending over backwards with Snow White.
He was just threatening families?
I don't know. He has to have had some money, of course.
Okay. So, right? I mean, I guess. I don't know.
There has to be.
Maybe he's just magic. Maybe he is actually magic.
Maybe he is magic. Maybe he is. And a Nazi, but magic.
Now, Magic Nazi.
I have more to say about the actors.
A great name for a movie. Go ahead.
Magic
Nazis?
Magic Nazis, yeah. Like zombie Nazis.
Like zombie Nazis, except more fun.
More whimsical.
More whimsical Nazis is what Hollywood
that's what
needs.
We need. Yeah.
That's what we need right now. Okay. Tell us about the actors.
Well, no, I feel like I should wait until we talk about
more about
acting.
Magical Nazis. Oh.
Well, if we want to talk about that, we can also do that later. But I figured when we talk about the acting and how we felt about it, I can give my tidbits about good old Dickie Jones.
Dickie. Yeah. Poor Dickie.
Yeah.
What was life like at school for him? Everyone just walking around, hey, Dickie. Dickie.
I think his life at school was probably pretty good.
Yeah?
Pretty cool.
You think so?
I'm sure bet.
Okay, so I think this is a tease for the acting portion because you clearly know something.
That's right.
I think he's living like a blank check life where he's just got a ton of money and like cars and airplanes and everyone loves him because he's rich.
That's probably true.
Okay, well, anyway, so the actors, we can just briefly go over it, I guess.
Yeah.
Cliff Edwards, Dickie Jones, Christian Rubb. You already said that stuff. Do you have any context for this movie before we really wade in?
I think that's it. I think I'm ready to wade into what we liked or didn't like.
All right, Captain's Log. Hello, this is your captain speaking. We are moving to the next section. I'm going to hang up this phone. I will say that now that we are officially in the tidbit section, I'm going to bring up water.
Tell me about water.
All right. So if you had eyeballs while you were watching this movie, you might have noticed right before they jumped into the water, we got an overhead shot of the cliffside where Pinocchio and Jiminy were standing, and also the water down below.
This is as they were jumping into cliff diving, basically, to go find the whale.
Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah.
Cliffside, waves at the bottom. Yes.
Yeah. And that shot right there, like I said, if you had eyes, you may have seen the water. And it was rippling in a way that really did not look hand animated.
That's right.
And that's because it wasn't. What it was a very detailed painting of water and some rippled glass. I think they had several panes of rippled glass that they had rigged up in this weird metal structure with a camera and several bulbs in different layers of the glass. And they couldn't leave the bulbs there too long or it would burn things or if it would overexpose something and make it look like the foreground was floating or something like that. But they had these layers of bulbs and glass, and they would move them, and it looked like rippling water. And
so it was an actual shot of something?
It was an actual shot of something.
Wow. Yeah. It did look pretty good.
And I didn't look up what they did in Snow White, but I have to imagine it was something similar. But it was crazy
and
because
things like that. I think when we watched it, one of the movie scenes, one of the moving scenes is what I meant to say, that really captured me was the well. the wishing well. Mm-hmm. The water looked pretty realistic there.
It did, yeah. And I have to assume it was something similar because it looked too good to be hand animated.
Yeah, we did think that.
And unless they had some other revolutionary technique that they used in that and then didn't use in Pinocchio, that's just kind of hard.
I will say though, later on there was pretty good water animation.
Oh my God!
Like
yeah,
when they get
when
pushed
the whale
back into the
everything to do with the whale.
Shore, incredible. Yeah, really good.
When they're underwater, it's the same sort of thing.
Yeah.
They're moving warped glass
that makes
over
sense.
the shot to kind of give it kind of a ripple look underwater, an undulating look to it. But yeah, when the whale was swimming on the surface or near the surface of the water and spraying water everywhere, that was so much. That was just hand animated.
It was insane.
And that just must have taken years.
There was that
I don't know how they did that.
specific shot of Geppetto being washed ashore. That was fantastic.
Yeah.
It was so, so good. And you and I talked about this, about how long it could possibly take. Have taken them to do this. And
how
did Disney basically, like you said, convince them to possibly be working day and night to make this happen?
Yeah, well, what I was thinking at the time was not just about the hours that they were pulling, but the hours that they were pulling and the stress that they were under, I think was actually leading them to lose hours of their life. Yeah. It's like smoking a cigarette or something.
Yeah, that's right.
Which takes days off your life or whatever. Yeah. I think animating for Disney during that era was probably taking years off your life.
And it's so very painstaking.
Did you notice
detailed work
when Geppetto washed up on the shore there? Yeah. It was the wave crashing down and spray going all over the place. But after that, Geppetto was already animating, and our focus should have been on Geppetto.
Yeah,
like he was getting up and coughing and spluttering and whatever. But the water was still going around rocks and like slightly smacking off small shells and whatever.
And things.
And it was receding back, but also going around things.
Yeah.
It was just not the kind of I'm gonna say cheap animation that we'll see today, but I'm not saying that because it's wrong to do, but it's just good for your time. Like there's no real reason to focus that hard on tiny little details when the viewer's focus is going to be on something else and should be on something else.
That's totally right.
However, it does lead to a more detailed thing, and then you can say that this is more art or something.
So this is also something that we talked about earlier when we were watching the movie, but there was a scene where all the clocks start to animate. And I think you and I were like, why are they doing this? Like, it was so detailed. Like,
and they kept cutting around to more and more.
To more and more, like, very specific clocks and figurines within the clock, like, animating and doing things. And it was like, is this shot worth whatever amount of money
or time
was spent on it? I'm not sure.
Yeah, just whipping around his workshop, seeing all the clocks and the music boxes and whatever else, and they're all moving and doing something different.
But then conversely, there was a shot of just children, like general children, and they all looked bad.
Yeah, well, so there were several shots. There was one with a distance shot of children on a cart being taken away to Pleasure Island. And then there was another shot of children all in town getting together to walk off to school. And these are all distance shots. So I don't necessarily think that they weren't putting in the effort because we weren't going to be focusing on it. But I think at the time, there was just no screen that was going to be showing it in such resolution that we'd be seeing the detail there.
Fair.
So I think that's probably why. And that's, like I was saying about it's not necessarily a criticism that other movies wouldn't do what this movie did for water.
Yeah.
Because when it's not the focus, nobody's looking at it. It's the same for game development or anything else, but certainly for game development, when you don't need to spend processing cycles on rendering something complex, don't.
Yeah.
And it should be the same for production.
Yeah, that's an excellent point.
Yeah.
But it seemed to me like he was very much, meaning Walt, good old W.D.
Yeah.
As people call him.
N-A-Z-I.
Right. He seemed to be a perfectionist, right?
Yeah, and among all the things that you can hate about Nazis, such as Walt Disney, you can also admire their. I like somebody who's not a Nazi to Jews. I want someone who's a Nazi in the production studio.
Sure.
I know that they're not fun to work with, but they make such interesting things. Yeah, but I think that workers should have the right to put themselves in a crazy situation like that because they want to make something amazing.
Yeah. Fun fact, Disney workers are trying to unionize currently.
Well, hey,
just wanted to throw that in there.
Go for it, guys.
Yeah.
I'm not against unions, but I think that unions.
I'm not against unions. Wow, I would hope so.
No, I'm pro-union. I'm pro-workers' rights, obviously. But on a serious note, I am those things. But I think that along with all the other workers' rights, I think one of your rights should be allowed to be allowed to join projects that are potentially unhealtly for you.
I think that's totally fair.
Because of the art, because of your passion, because of whatever. I think that should be allowed.
Who amongst us has not worked, from 7 a.m. to 3 a.m. with no breaks for 4 months ahead of an election?
Well, I haven't done that.
That was very specific.
I haven't been in that exact situation, but I've worked very long hours.
Put a finger down if all these things, Yeah, I think that's totally fair. And I think it obviously led to pretty incredible things, Disney being the way that he was. So,
his work ethic is not what I don't like about him.
I think that's right. I think I can understand that. And you and I went to Disney not that long ago.
And we were able to enjoy.
Pretty inspired, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
Because we went to a lot of the smaller rides that talk about like innovation and good old American idealism or whatever. And we're like, the
Hall of Presidents was the one. And I don't know how he did it. Not a lot gets me to feel super patriotic.
Yeah, same.
But going to the Disney World Hall of Presidents, by God, made me kind of patriotic, really patriotic. I came out of that being like, fuck yeah. America. Hell yeah. America's pretty sweet. High five. I just went around high-fiving Americans. You remember?
I totally remember that.
Yeah.
The other ride of, the one with a really catchy tune where it's like scenes of a life going by and by of like a little kid. And then it's like, oh, thanks to whatever, we now have dishwasher. Mom doesn't have to slave away in the kitchen anymore.
Wasn't that the revolving thing of innovation?
Thing. Yeah. For some reason, that really also gave me good vibes.
Yeah, I enjoyed that.
I love the fact that they were trying random things that led to like now there being a ride where the like animatronics, for example, for Avatar are like, I genuinely believe that it felt so person real. In front of me, So I appreciate it for
I think
for what it was.
Absolutely. And part of it is that it's this Walt Disney type person. Nobody's doing it right now. Nobody has the kind of the drive and creative passion and also the dominating spirit to force other people to join on their dream.
Yeah, that's true.
Because who the hell is spending time and money recreating presidents?
Nobody.
Why would you do that? Who's going to see it?
Who would do that? Well,
but Walt Disney did.
But he did, and we do, and we loved it.
He made a revolving, huge, circular
like theater
building.
Almost.
Theater, which we were sitting in, and the theater itself moves around. The stage doesn't. The theater itself, like the seating, moves around in a circle to a bunch of different stages, which are showing different stages of life in America, with animatronics acting out what life might have been like there. It's silly. It's cheesy. And who would do that and why? But he did. And it's just kind of groovy. It's just kind of fun.
Is. I'm with you. I'm totally with you. All right. Do you have any other tidbits for me? Water?
Water, we've gone over. The fight over the style of Pinocchio. I think we've talked about it. It was okay, well, actually here, I'll add some to that. So Pinocchio, like I said, was originally designed as an actual kind of jangly wooden marionette. And they changed and went into the direction of him being kind of basically moving like a real child.
Sure.
But just drawn like a puppet. But the original story, Pinocchio is impetuous and brash. Jesus Christ, impetuous and brash, if I can speak, and an asshole to everybody. And
interesting.
Yeah, he was supposed to just be like flipping people off.
Oh my God.
And like just going around drinking and smoking and like doing whatever. And Pinocchio.
Wow.
And he was supposed to eventually learn all of his lessons by force. Like he was supposed to be beaten down into learning that he needed to be a good boy rather than starting out as a good boy and being slightly corrupted.
Yeah. Interesting.
And so Jiminy was not in the story from the very beginning. He was, they had already kind of reshaped Pinocchio's character to being kind of more of a sweet, but I don't know. I feel like he's overly naive and overly curious, and he wants to get himself into a bunch of situations, but he's also willing to do these things.
That's right.
Willing to lie and whatever, just because it's kind of fun.
Or to not listen to what his conscience was saying.
Exactly. Yeah. So they had already kind of gone in that way with the character, but Jiminy didn't exist yet.
Interesting.
And I think at the point where they introduced his character, he was supposed to just be a very small bit character, and Pinocchio was supposed to smash him with a mallet and kill him.
Oh my God!
And he was supposed to come back as a ghost or something.
Oh.
But they kept
as a ghost.
Yeah.
Wow. This all sounds like a very different story.
Yeah, and Jiminy was originally much more more anthropologically. That's not even correct. He was supposed to be anatomically correct. Yeah, generically anatomically correct.
To be like a real cricket.
Yeah, so he was supposed to have bristly legs and stuff like that. He was supposed to look like a cricket.
I will say that is one of the things that I mentioned the second we started watching this movie, which I hadn't seen for a very long time. I'm going to talk about that later, but I was like, this doesn't look like cricket at all to me now that I really think about it. This looks more like a bug, a regular random bug.
Yeah, I mean, I felt like I could kind of tell in the mouth, like where this thing was coming in.
Yeah.
But other than that, yeah, you're right. I mean, it really wasn't very much like a cricket. But Disney came in and was like, this thing's too, it's not friendly enough. It's too, it's, I don't know if he said ugly, but it's not friendly enough. It's not relatable enough. Make it cuter, make it friendlier. And so they redid it to make it look like he does now.
Interesting.
And they started adding him into more of the story, and he became the conscience.
Got it.
But that's very much not how it was.
Well, I do think that was a great addition.
Yeah, agreed.
I mean, Jiminy Cricket, I feel like, is just as popular as Pinocchio himself is.
I would say even more so, because if you play Kingdom Hearts, Pinocchio doesn't show up, but Jiminy follows you for your entire journey.
That's great. I love that.
He chronicles your journey.
Wow. I love that.
Yeah.
Maybe I need to play it.
You really should.
Yeah. All right. One last piece of tidbit for you.
Okay.
It was the first animated feature to win an Oscar.
Oh, I honestly didn't know that this won an Oscar.
It won an Oscar for Best Score and Best Song. And obviously for Best Song being When You Wish Upon a Star. As you're so lovely singing. Yeah. Which I didn't even know was a Pinocchio song. I thought it was like a Cinderella one or something. For some reason, I had completely forgotten that it was a Pinocchio song.
Yeah. No, that's very solidified in my mind as a Pinocchio thing. That's basically all I remembered from it. I remembered flashes from because I'd seen this when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And I'd remembered flashes like him coming to life and
the whale, I'm sure.
Him going in the whale. And I remember he had a friend that turned into a donkey.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's all I remembered.
Yeah. Well,
and the song.
The song won and the score won. And so it was the first animated movie to win an Academy Award.
Wow.
Snow White had not.
Well,
it was the first Disney win.
Did Snow White have any good songs?
Hi Ho. Excuse me.
Oh, that's true. Okay.
That's pretty iconic.
Okay, I was going to say, any of the songs that Snow White herself was singing?
No. Yeah,
it was like, that kind of thing. Hum one of those songs. I dare you.
Yeah, no, I couldn't. I really couldn't.
Nobody could do that. But Hi Ho is good. Hi Ho is great. Yeah.
So yeah. Okay, that's it. That's it. And
it's over.
It's over.
Stop listening.
No, don't. There's still more to go. Okay. I will say more about the acting in a second.
Man,
but
this tease is continuing.
Stretching. I know. I need
to know.
We'll know soon enough.
Okay.
As we both have said, we have seen this movie before.
Yeah.
I was a child when I watched it, and it terrified me. And I think you had a similar experience. Correct?
Oh yeah, definitely. This and Dumbo, but I think this
Dumbo
one probably scared me more.
Yeah, I think Dumbo and Bambi made me really sad. Pinocchio really scared me. Like the whale scenes just scared the shit out of me.
Yeah, the whale definitely scared me, but I think even more so than that, his friend turning into a donkey.
That also scared me.
Honestly, us watching it right now, I was like, God damn, that's freaky.
Yeah, it was
like
freaky.
That was unnecessarily scary and agitating and just obscene. Yeah. Honestly. Yeah. This kid is like getting tortured as he is like grotesquely transforming into a jackass, as they keep calling him in the movie. Yeah. And he's like calling out for his mom as he's like turning into the thing, and he starts going, and then breaking things. And the music is going crazy. And it's so much.
It is a lot.
Yeah.
It is a lot. Yeah. I feel like Disney movies were also meant to scare you back then. I feel like a little bit. Don't you think so?
I just had an argument with my mom about this.
Really?
She was like, Disney movies have never been for kids. And my mom is very sensitive about.
Well, is this because she never
movies?
Was it who? You watched Disney movies, but was it your brothers that she never really got into Disney?
Well, she wouldn't have shown me Disney movies either, but my dad showed me Disney movies.
Okay, so she really didn't want.
Yeah. No, she was against Disney movies. She didn't let me watch Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles or Power Rangers.
It's interesting that happened. And then my mom is, no, Simpsons.
I know. My mom was actually keeping me away from Power Rangers, which, no offense to Power Ranger fans out there, it's not a good show.
Yeah. I did enjoy it when I was little.
I'm sure it's fun when you're a kid. And I'm sure if people have the nostalgia coming back to it, it's good.
Yeah.
But I have subsequently tried to get into it when I was a little bit older.
It is hard,
and I was like, Jesus, they're acting like this is armor, and it's clearly fabric that's bunching up at their elbow.
You have to just completely not think about real life.
Sure. Anyway, so I wasn't allowed to watch a lot of these things, but I did watch Disney movies. And I recently had this conversation with my mom. She was like, Disney movies have never been for kids. They're so scary. And she's like, nobody makes good children movies because they're all so scary. And my contention is, kids could use a little bit of fear. Yeah. I think it's fine. I think that's kind of why horror movies exist anyway. Yeah. It's a safe way to experience that emotion and learn how to deal with it.
I think that's right.
I think
especially as a little kid with the emotion of just the scary things at Disney are like stranger danger. You know what I mean? Things that you should be afraid of when you're a child, and you need to have those thoughts in your head.
If someone's trying to take you off to Pleasure Island, where all the boys go and they don't come back as boys,
they come out as
goddamn jackasses. Yeah. I kind of like the metaphor there of if you continue to act this way, you're basically everyone's going to see you as a jackass.
Yeah, that's right.
I kind of like the
I like the metaphor too.
Which I think was in the original story.
I think that's right.
But so I think it's fine. And if kids have nightmares after these movies, that's all part of growing up. So be it. That's all part of growing up. Yeah. And if you can't handle that as a parent, then I say that's selfish. Because they may keep you up that night. That's what being a parent's all about.
That's right.
You need to shepherd them through these tough times.
Right. Yeah.
I can say that as a non-parent comfortably because I don't have to deal with it right now.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, great. I'm glad that we both watched it again with fresh eyes. Mm-hmm. Like I said, I watched it when I was very little. So this was almost like a brand new experience to me.
Yeah, it was. Like I said, I didn't remember a whole lot, so it basically was watching the movie for the very first time again.
Great. Should we talk about what worked and what didn't work?
Let's do.
Do you want to start with the story itself, the writing?
Sure. Yes, we can talk about that. As a moral tale,
Yeah.
I think it's fine. I thought that they told a very compelling arc. I think I was talking about this on the last episode, Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, that it didn't have a very good
Satisfying
resolution.
ending. Yeah.
I think this movie did.
Yeah.
I think there was earned lessons that he learned.
Yeah.
He started the movie as a very kind of happy-go-lucky, but a little bit too trusting and willing to be bad because that's the company he was keeping.
Yeah.
So he didn't have much of a backbone, morally speaking. And I guess he learned to have that. It's not like anything was really resisting him being good. And I think that would have been the real test of his growth. But he did run off to save his father in a dangerous situation, risking his life. And it wasn't fun. And I think that fun was really all he was about for a little bit.
Yeah, that's true.
So maybe there was good resolution there also.
Yeah.
Ish. Yeah, so I thought that was fine. I saw a plot hole. I want to call it a plot hole because I don't know what else to say about it. But why did Geppetto, after one night of Pinocchio being alive, send him off and he was like, okay, go to school. And then he went back inside and Pinocchio must have been thinking, what is school? Where is it? How do I get there? What do I do when I'm there?
Yeah.
There was just no build up for him. So he just kind of walked down a street and was able to be picked up by an evil fox.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think it was really interesting. The writing of Geppetto is interesting to me.
Do you think that he was an insane person, or do you think he's just a little quirky?
No, I think he was a little bit of an insane person. I think I noticed that even before.
You got one look at a cuckoo clock and you're like, this guy's nuts.
Well, he was a little strange, right? He was like an old man living with his cat and his goldfish.
Hey, I would live that lifestyle if you hadn't come along.
That's true, I suppose. But making clocks and playing with his marionettes and wishing that they were real. And that is a little weird, you gotta say.
Yeah, when you phrase it that way, I guess he's atypical.
Yeah, and then
he's socially atypical.
What he finally wanted, a child, presumably.
No, he just wanted one of his puppets to be alive.
Okay, fine.
I don't think he ever said that he wanted him to be a real boy. He just wanted him to be alive.
Well, okay. Well, that's true. That's probably true. And also, did Geppetto really consider the responsibilities of parenthood when he was like, let me wish upon a star that I wish for this random marionette to come to life?
Are you saying that wishing upon the star was something so well known to actually have potency? And so this basically with great power comes great responsibility.
Yeah, basically.
And he's just wielding wishes in an irresponsible way.
Just willy-nilly being like, hey, bring this doll to life. And not thinking about the fact that how are you going to support him? Emotionally, financially?
Well, he doesn't eat or breathe. We saw him underwater. He doesn't breathe.
That is true.
Not like you have to pay for oxygen.
Did send him to school.
In medieval Italy or whatever they were, Renaissance Italy.
Well, he sent him to school, didn't he? He wanted him to have somewhat of a child's normal life.
Sure.
And also from the beginning, I'm pretty sure that Jiminy or Pinocchio himself tell him, if I'm good, I'll become a real boy.
Wait, who said that? Initially, it was the fairy.
Yeah, but I think then they communicated that to Geppetto.
Yeah, I think yeah. But I think Geppetto was like, I don't care so much about that. I love you, my wooden boy.
I know, and then he let him go. But then I felt bad because it was like that man really did feel bad and went to the ends of the earth to find his son.
That's true. Nobody can question his dedication to that wooden doll.
That's right. But it's just a little weird.
What do you think he really wanted to do with that wooden doll? Careful.
Love it, I guess.
Love it.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the euphemism of choice right now.
No, just love it.
Just love.
Just care.
Yeah. Okay. How tenderly?
As a normal parent should.
As a normal parent of a wooden marionette?
Well, I don't know.
I don't think anything's normal with this guy.
I think he was a little weird, but I'm thinking that he had some good intentions, right?
All right. Yeah, I'd like to believe so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't see them,
Yeah.
but I'd like to believe that's true.
Yeah, I just think it was the writing of him was a little strange.
The writing was on the wall from
writing
the
was a
beginning.
little strange. The writing of
What about how horny Jiminy was?
well, that's exactly what I was gonna say. I think that was one thing that I was like, Jesus, we need to cool it.
He was from the beginning.
Every second,
Every
he
little
was looking at something that turned him on.
He was touching, I think a
butt?
ceramic model of a woman's butt.
Yeah.
And then he was trying to make time with a cuckoo clock lady.
Yeah, and
who
then
had come out and went back into a door.
He was in love with Fairy.
Yeah. And
then over and over and over
just
again.
anytime there was a feminine presence.
Like, ooh.
He was after that feminine presence.
Then he was dancing with someone and said, "What do you say if we get out of here?" or something like that.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
He wanted to get
that was another dancing. I think that was a music box.
Yeah.
So
right.
there was a woman and a man kind of dancing together, and they were coming to get like they would move together, then move apart as they twirled around. And he tried dancing with it, and then he's like, "Hey, what do you say we go back to my place?"
Yeah. Do we think this is just for the adults?
Well, it's certainly not for the kids.
I just don't know why include him being so horny.
Yeah, I mean, we all
like
talk about how Disney movies, or I guess Pixar movies, revolutionized doing something for the adults while also entertaining the kids.
Yeah.
But it seems like Disney was doing that from the beginning.
I guess so.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was very interesting. It was intriguing. I didn't really.
Did you like it?
I didn't really like it. I didn't really like it.
Is that because you feel like it's misplaced in a children's movie? Or because it just you thought that his horniness was inauthentic?
Probably both.
You thought that his horniness was inauthentic?
Why?
He was forcing
He
it?
so horny all the time.
He was just forcing it. Maybe he's
the entire movie.
Yeah, maybe he is unable to
Control.
get an erection, I was going to say.
Oh.
And so he's overcompensating by being horny toward everybody.
Perhaps.
I mean, this is just, I'm trying to help your theory out.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate
This is not something I believe.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, it wasn't my favorite.
No.
And I do like Jiminy. But it's interesting that he's a conscience.
And yet so horny.
And yet so horny.
Well, maybe it is symbolizing a little bit
Like subconscious.
the subconscious horniness of all little young boys.
Maybe that is true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, once you reach a certain age.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, maybe.
Maybe?
Perhaps,
I don't know.
How did you feel about Jiminy?
I liked Jiminy. I thought he was a swell guy. I thought it was funny that they were in medieval or Renaissance Italy or whatever the heck it was supposed to be. And this cricket character was a Southern gentleman from America. I thought that was kind of weird.
Yeah, because Geppetto did have an Italian accent.
I guess it was Italian, yeah.
A little bit of an Italian accent. Yeah.
But there was an English person in this movie. I can only imagine it was supposed to be English because he kept using the word bloke.
Who?
The guy that was taking all the boys to the Pleasure Island.
Yeah,
I don't like saying that sentence, by the way. I really don't like that this movie is making me say that sentence. But there was an old man taking boys to a pleasure island. But that is just what happened in this movie.
That is, in fact, what happened.
Yeah. So that guy was English.
Yeah.
Every time it was like, "Hey, you blokes, come on, do this." I can only imagine that it was supposed to be an English accent. It wasn't, but I think he was trying, and he kept using the word bloke in really awkward ways.
That's crazy. You're right. The acting was all right.
I liked Jiminy's acting. I thought Geppetto's acting.
Do we want to talk about that next?
Sure, why not?
Is there anything else in writing? The story in general?
Do we think that the whale was a reference to little fella from the Bible? What was his name?
Jonah?
Jonah.
Yeah, maybe, probably.
The original brother.
Yeah, I think that's right.
You think it was a reference? You think Disney was like, "I'm a Jesus man, and I'm gonna shove Jesus into everything"?
Well, I don't know about
one
that,
way or another,
but I think probably. Well, was it in the original?
That I don't know.
Italian story?
I don't know.
Because
I don't read Italian.
Maybe not, but
I can only read in Gallic.
You're right.
Yeah.
And English, right?
Well, barely.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I don't actually read the notes we've got set up here. I memorize them beforehand.
Memorize, yeah.
I hire somebody to read it into my ear.
Oh boy.
Yeah, I know.
Well, that's
I get through.
You should
I get
really
by.
learn.
Why? I mean, I get by.
Okay.
You know, I mean, hey, I've gotten pretty far in life.
So far.
I've gotten pretty damn far in life without reading anything.
Now, and you haven't read a single thing.
Did you call me a full hobbit?
Yeah.
That is true, though. I forgot that I am literally a full hobbit because of my age. Yeah, 33 I am.
Yeah.
Yep. Anyway, how's the acting? Let's get past my inability to read.
Acting wise, I didn't mind it. So the actor who plays Jiminy, I guess now with the context that you gave me that Jiminy wasn't originally supposed to be a character, and then Disney was like, no, do it.
Throw a cricket in there.
And then
and people were like, but why? And he was like, I don't fucking know. Put a cricket in.
He wanted a big name for it. So he hired
the biggest name of all, Dickie Rubb.
Christian Rubb.
Oh, okay.
Christian Rubb. He hired him, but he was
sorry, Dickie
he was
Rubb is
very well known.
Christian Rubb was?
Yeah.
What kind of a last name is Rubb, though?
I don't know, but he was very well known. He was a singer. And he wanted a big name to play Jiminy, so that's what happened.
He crooned a bit in the beginning of the movie.
Yeah.
How many songs were in the movie? We had When You Wish Upon a Star, Jiminy crooned at the beginning.
Yeah. The one in Pleasure Island.
What were they singing?
Weren't they singing something?
I don't know. There was a dude shouting that come on, boys, have some fun. There's no rules. It's all free. But I don't know if that was a song.
Yeah, maybe not. Only a few, maybe like 2 or 3, I think.
I'm struggling to remember if there was another song.
I don't know. But apparently he was a very well-known actor of the time. And then, of course, Dickie Jones.
Dickie Jones. I love that guy.
So Dickie Jones as Pinocchio.
Okay. I knew that, of course.
They wanted another famous actor to play Pinocchio. And Disney was like, you're hiring an 11-year-old boy for this. I want him to sound like an 11-year-old boy. I don't want a man. So they hired Dickie Jones, who was 11 when he...
well, you certainly shouldn't hire a man for a young boy. That in cartoons now is all done by women. Women play young boys.
Sure.
That is just how it is.
Yeah.
So yeah, I can understand him not wanting to hire a man.
Well,
he probably
he
could
didn't
have
want
in Shakespearean inverse Shakespearean
Yeah.
ways. He should have hired a woman to play a man.
Well, he wanted a real life little boy. And nobody was bigger than Dickie Jones, who had just finished a very successful movie
Called?
Mr. Smith Goes to Washington.
Oh, fudge! Who was he in that?
He was the little page boy.
The little page boy?
The little page boy.
You're telling me
Mr.
that
Smith all the time.
Are you telling me that the very former movie that we watched had Pinocchio in it?
Yeah, we have now watched 2 movies with Dickie Jones.
Wow, Dickie Jones is all over the schedule.
I know. This is what I was waiting to tell you. This is what I had been teasing all along.
Wow, I think it paid off. This was fantastic news.
I know.
I think we should keep this run going. If Dickie Jones...
Dickie Jones needs to be in every movie that we watch.
Yeah, his name is Dickie Jones. If Dickie Jones was in a movie in the 1950s, we really must watch him.
Yeah, that's right.
That decides what movie we watch next.
We are now.
Let's move past Kurosawa. Let's move past anything else of any historical substance and watch nothing but Dickie Jones.
Yeah, maybe we should.
Okay.
Well, good for Dickie Jones.
Great for Dickie Jones.
Literally, Mr. Smith Goes to Washington led him to take on the role of Pinocchio.
That guy was hitting nothing but home runs for a while.
Yeah.
I mean, he was kind of nobody in Mr. Smith Goes to Washington.
No, but it worked.
Good for him.
It was crazy when I read that. I was like, "Wow, what are the odds?" We just watched 2.
I know.
movies back to back.
I'm speechless.
Yeah.
Barely. I mean, I can't afford to be. I'm on a podcast right now, but I would be.
But you would
under
be.
normal circumstances.
Yeah. That's the reaction I was hoping for. I liked his acting fine. I liked everybody's acting fine. I think.
Yes.
Yeah. Probably Jiminy's was my favorite.
Who was your least favorite? Was it? I thought the kid, his friend, was a little too adult.
Yeah, I was thinking that too when I saw the movie.
I mean, he kind of looked a little too adult, I guess, especially in his mannerisms, because I guess he was supposed to be a kid who was affecting, kind of like the Lost Boys in Peter Pan, the air of an older person smoking and drinking and playing pool and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But you're right that it did feel like too.
Yeah,
his voice was
and he was
too
like
mature.
he was spitting out of the side of his mouth and stuff like that.
I didn't really like that at all. Yeah.
But other than that, I thought the acting was fine. It wasn't
main
anything
three were fine.
super standout. Maybe
Yeah,
Jiminy was kind of standout.
I think that's right.
Yeah.
I think that's exactly.
I think he had a good presence, and everything he said, even if it wasn't a joke, was kind of funny just because his demeanor is a little bit silly.
Yeah, that's
like budge up, lady, or whatever he kept saying to fish under the sea.
Yeah,
under the sea.
Under the sea.
All right. So, what do we think about the cinematography?
Pretty good. Pretty good.
Pretty good.
Pretty good.
I mean,
I know that's a very
shots.
Yeah,
it's hard to say because I don't know the composition of shots.
Yeah,
if we really want to analyze, weren't. I don't know. They were okay.
They were fine.
But the animation was just so amazing.
I think that's right. That's what I want to bring up. Like cinematography wise, okay, sure. Like there were some good shots there of like the cliff or whatever. But or like the whole village and things like that. There were some.
I think there are Disney movies that better exemplify high cinematography.
I think that's right. But the animation here, as
was just really amazing.
Talked about, was just really, really incredible.
Yeah.
And definitely the best part of this movie for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
We talked about scores and sound.
Yep. I don't really have.
That.
Well, actually, I guess we can say, do you like When You Wish Upon a Star?
No.
Yeah.
I don't. I'm just going to be honest.
You're going to be 100?
I'm going to, yeah.
You're going to keep it 100?
Well, do we think the Disney adults are going to come for me? Or
I think they should.
What?
I absolutely think they should.
Are you a fan of When You Wish Upon a Star?
No.
Yeah, so then
But I'm ready to take Disney adults. I think I can take them all. I think they're all weaklings.
Whoa. I don't know.
I like to make enemies. I don't know.
Yeah, I know you do. Yeah, I think the song was fine. I don't really like that style. And it's okay. I don't know. It's not like a Disney song that I'm going to keep playing over and over again. It's iconic, but...
It's iconic, yeah. It feels much more like... what do you call those songs that you use to lullabies? I was going to say, what are the songs that you use to lull children to sleep with? Yeah. And they're lullabies. Yeah. But it sounds like a lullaby. I guess it is a lullaby. Yeah, but I mean, it's so like soporific. It's very slow.
That's right.
Oh, I was like,
That's right.
So it's good. It's iconic. I'm not going to put it on my iPod and listen to it on repeat.
Yeah, on your iPod?
On my iPod. I still live in the early 2000s.
Love that.
And
I do love a good iPod.
Yeah. Did you have an original iPod?
Oh, yeah, of course.
Okay. No, I mean the Ultra, the fat one. The fat original iPod with a clicky wheel and no color in the screen and only a green backlight. Yeah. I had that too. Yeah. I stole it from... No, I didn't steal it. I found it.
Did you have the bigger one that played videos too?
I think eventually I got that. Yeah. But I skipped a few generations.
And you have the colored ones? Oh, okay. Anyway, we don't have to go down the iPod.
I was fully willing to go down that path with you. Because that's just who I am.
Yeah, I do love... I resisted having my music on my phone for a while. I wanted it to be separate.
Oh, you wanted to still carry around an iPod?
Yeah.
No, once the iPhones came out, I was fully on board with the technological revolution that the iPhone was. I was like, that is now going to be everything to me. I'm going to put all my things on it. I want it to do everything. I'm going to get rid of my computer.
Well, the thing is, I was a BlackBerry girly. So
that's sad for you.
It was a BlackBerry plus an iPod for me.
Okay. Well, I can understand you not wanting to put music on a BlackBerry because those were terrible.
Oh.
Yeah. I mean,
they were fun.
There's a reason that they went the way of the dodo.
I mean, sure. But they were fun while they lasted.
No, I'm not going to lie. I remember before the iPhone came out. Before the iPhone came out, I remember looking at people who had BlackBerries and be like, wow, that's cool. That's pretty neat.
Yeah, I know. Exactly.
That's wizard. That's wizard.
Yeah, wizard. I love that.
And but when the iPhone came out, the BlackBerry's days were numbered.
Yeah. I think that's right.
Unfortunately. All right. So, did you have we're going into the officers' table. We're leaving the captain's quarters and we're heading over to the officers' table where we sit around and discuss things. And one of those things is, did you have preconceptions walking into this movie? Since we had seen the movie, But we hadn't seen it for a long time.
I think
didn't
my
remember
preconception was still of it being pretty scary.
Did that maintain?
That maintained. I think maybe less scary than I thought, but of course I'm not a child any longer, so that tracks. And I think I thought the animation was worse.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Of just general characters or everything, including
I think
water
everything.
and such.
I think I thought the animation was pretty bad. I went into this thinking not bad in the sense that it was bad, but just old.
Yeah.
And I was pleasantly surprised. What about you?
Yeah. I think that I was definitely shocked by how detailed the animation was in certain areas. So, yeah, maybe I had the preconception that it wasn't as good as it was, animation-wise. I remember that it was scary. Genuinely, I thought it was still scary.
It's scary. Yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to have nightmares about it. Don't be worrying about me, dear listeners, because I'm fine.
He'll be okay. He'll make it through the night. I promise.
Yeah, I mean, I am not gonna. I don't need to have a nightlight on when I sleep. I mean, I probably will. I'm gonna have a light on tonight.
Oh,
but because. Sometimes I think I've had a lot of water tonight. I'm 100% going to get up to pee, and I don't want to stub my toe on anything.
But what if I say that tonight I really want to sleep in just
in darkness?
Total darkness.
Well, I'd say that there's a guest room that is very comfortable.
For you to sleep in.
For you to sleep in.
For you to sleep in.
That's what I said. For you to sleep in.
For you to sleep in.
That's exactly what I said.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I think that's right.
Yeah.
So is it merely
of its
time? Yeah.
Can we possibly make this more awkward and disjointed?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you want to try?
Let's try it.
Okay.
Merely
of its
time?
I think it is merely of its time.
Yeah, I think that's right.
No, I can't say that. I think
it is.
Because if you stole a small child and you're not planning on taking it to any pleasure island or anything like that.
No,
I just mean
never.
For the purposes of science, steal a child for science and put him in a theater. And he's a young child. It's a he in this scenario. He's 6 years old, something like that, 5, 6. And you play this movie. I bet it's gonna intrigue him. I bet it's going to scare him. I bet it's going to inflame his imagination. I think this movie still works.
So you think if they released it now, people would be into it?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so, because if they released it now, it would be in 4K and all the rest of it, but everything else would be the same, all hand-drawn, and that would be the big story, like, oh, we're returning to completely hand-drawn blockbuster features.
Yeah.
And it's from Disney. It's got heart. It's got soul. It's got children smoking cigars.
Well, that was going to be the question.
I think there would be a little outrage about that.
Well, I was going to say it doesn't hold up in that sense.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. There are children smoking cigars and drinking alcohol and such like that. Yeah. So that probably wouldn't fly in today's society, no doubt.
What about Jiminy Cricket's horniness? Would it be kept?
I don't think Disney would do that now, but if they did, I think we'd be down with it.
Interesting.
I think so. I think that we would appreciate that.
Okay.
I don't know about appreciate it. I think it would make some people laugh, some people roll their eyes, but I think we'd be okay with it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like that. Okay, the big question that we always ask every single time.
Did this movie ruin your life, or did it make it better?
Well,
I think it made it better.
I think it made it better. I don't know. I don't know what it would take for a movie to ruin my life.
No. I mean, the first movie we watched
ruined yours.
Ruined my life.
Yeah.
Right? Which one was it?
Yeah.
What did we watch again?
We watched Sherlock Jr.
Sherlock Jr. Yeah, that ruined my life, I think.
Yeah. I don't think I said that it ruined mine.
Yeah. I think it ruined my life because the alternative is it made my life better, and I don't think it did. But this movie, I don't think I can say that it ruined my life because I saw it when I was a kid.
And it didn't ruin
And it didn't ruin my life.
It's a fact.
Or at least, maybe it did. Maybe my life would have been a lot better. I would have been a billionaire by this point if I hadn't seen this movie.
Damn.
Don't know. But
should have not watched it.
I should have not watched this. Well, blame my father, probably.
Okay, I will.
All right. next time we see him.
Yep.
But yeah,
yeah.
But you think it made your life better?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
I think. I don't think it's gonna be like something that I like to rewatch every single couple years or something. Like Disney, 90s Disney still holds a very special place in my heart.
Yeah,
right?
talking
like,
Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin,
yeah.
Sleeping Beauty.
No.
Okay, well, calm down. Little Mermaid,
Mulan, Hercules.
Yeah.
I feel like Hercules is something that I could rewatch every couple of years. So is Mulan. So is,
Sleeping
Beauty.
Nope.
No.
Beauty and the Sleeping
Beauty and the
Beast.
Beast, that's what I meant.
Yeah. No, but there was another one. Wasn't there another big one? Aladdin, Little Mermaid. Isn't there another one that I'm missing, or is that every?
I think that might be it.
Okay.
Those are just...
Talk about a run of hits, though.
Yeah, peak.
That is peak Disney.
So it's not going to be rewatchable for me, this movie. But, of course, it improved my life because I enjoyed it still. And you didn't enjoy it?
No, I did. I'm just thinking, I think maybe you should consider this having ruined your life.
You think so?
Yeah. Because what did it bring anything to your child? Do you think that the fear of it helped your childhood?
No, I don't think it did.
Because I'm saying I liked it because it inflamed my my imagination, and I think it was part of a journey to me liking horror movies in later life. Because I didn't when I was young. Because this scared me, other things scared me. I was very much a scaredy cat.
Yeah, me too.
But I think this was all part of my journey to liking horror.
I like that.
So it's part of my DNA now.
Yeah.
So I think it did enrich my life. But I don't know if the same is true for you.
I think that's probably true. Okay. I think maybe I'm giving it a little bit too much. Like, I appreciate the movie for what it is, but did it really bring anything to my life?
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Okay, so this movie ruined your life.
Yeah, if we're going to put it on those terms, it
has to be in those terms.
Life. It
Great.
ruined my life.
Okay, all right, so we've got one for you as well.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go into summary ruling. We are now putting our judges' hats on, our wigs on. We've got gavels in hand. Order! I will have order.
We have our wigs on.
Yep, and we now need to judge this movie and talk about its judgment from the Rotten Tomato Society.
It gives it a 100 out of 100 score.
Yeah, I'm not terribly shocked. I feel like the older the movie is, the more likely, especially if it's considered a classic, the more likely it is to have close to 100%.
Yeah.
But this is not, this is one of the most classic, like iconic, old Disney movies.
Yeah.
So I guess it makes sense. But to me, it doesn't feel like one of the best of that era.
Which would be, which one?
I don't know. I would say that Snow White is better. Bambi's better. Fantasia is better. Yeah. Just as an art piece. It's not even really a story. It's just an art piece.
I could see that.
But I like Fantasia better.
I bet those also have 100.
What was the other one? Dumbo? I bet I like Dumbo better.
They were all too sad for me. I feel like it's the thing. Like,
Dumbo
I think Dumbo made me bawl my eyes out.
Definitely.
So did Bambi.
But that's art, man. That's real art.
It was so sad.
Did this movie make you feel anything other than the donkey scene? Making you feel fear, perhaps?
Yeah.
Did this movie make you feel anything
No, probably not.
Yeah. So now I feel like this movie is just the weakest of them. Just emotionally not very evocative.
Honestly, I would be hesitant right now to rewatch Bambi or Dumbo because I just know that it would make me too sad.
Yeah, because those make you feel.
Like that is something.
Yeah, exactly. I agree.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Whereas with Pinocchio, I was like, I'll rewatch it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, with that,
what's your critical rating?
What is your critical rating?
My critical rating
out of
10 points or integers. Are we allowed to give decimal values?
I've been giving 0.5s left and right, baby.
Wow, you're going crazy.
Yeah.
Okay. Then out of 10, normal numbers, we'll say. Because we're not going negative with this, are we?
No. Do you remember what you gave the first couple?
No.
Yeah. I remember mine. I think you gave Sherlock Jr. something like 2.
Out of 10?
Yeah.
Damn, dude. I didn't like that movie. Well, it did ruin my life.
Yeah.
Okay, so critical for this movie, I'm going to go 4.
Really?
4.
The animation?
4. The animation
It's what gives it a 4?
is what gives it. Yeah. Well, okay, 5.
Interesting.
Because it's like all animation. I give it basically 5 for animation, and I would also give it 5-ish. Because yeah. Because the animation was good and detailed and such, but it also wasn't beautiful.
Yeah.
There are some other Disney movies that I just think are so beautiful.
Yeah.
So this was detailed and well done, well crafted. I didn't see the beauty in it very much.
I totally get that.
The whale going around was pretty great, but I just don't know that it was, I don't know. Yeah, 5. I think I'll go 5.
I'm going to give it a 6. And I think that is basically all animation for me as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like the moral tale for children.
Yeah.
I think that's interesting, and I think that still resonates. But
yeah, I mean, the
I don't think
things
that
that
deserves
are
any more
supposed to
than
be
a
the
5.
most critically acclaimed were things that we didn't really enjoy, like the music and the score.
yeah.
So, yeah, I think it's fair that we give it kind of mid.
So in that way, just going back a little bit, maybe that makes it more of its time. Maybe what made
Yeah,
this
that's
movie
true.
great could only have been enjoyed at that time because the music would have, at that point, it would have been a total
Normal
barn
music.
burner.
Yeah.
That thing
A
would have
bop.
been, it would have been a bop.
A banger.
Yeah, absolutely. People would have been thrashing, putting the metal sign up on their hands and
love that.
bobbing their head up and down to it.
When
You wish upon a star. You know, that sort of thing.
Totally.
So, yeah, we just can't enjoy it. But, my dear,
My love.
what would you give this in terms of a heart rating?
That is lower for me.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, so out of 5 hearts, what would you give this?
3, maybe.
3? That's not that bad.
That's not that bad.
That's above average or above median?
2.75. Am I
2.75.
allowed to give it that?
You have before. I'm now remembering.
Okay, well, 2.75 then.
Okay. In fact, I think you may have given that to the last one.
No, I gave Mr. Smith Goes to Washington a higher rating than that. But I did
Something
give
did get 2.75 though.
2.5.
No, there was a 7.5. I think you bumped it up at one point.
Did I?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, then I don't think this is at the same level as Sherlock Jr. I think this is a little bit better in terms of heart rating for me. So I'll give it a solid 3.
A solid 3.
Yeah.
Okay, so for me, heart rating wise, I'm going to give this a 1.
Whoa, that is so low.
Possibly a 0.
You don't care about it at all?
No, this movie could be. I for historical reasons, I want to preserve this movie, but the other part of me just wants to throw it in the ocean. I don't care.
Yeah, but you also just mentioned how you felt like it was a part of your journey.
I know. So back when I was a child, it was,
Okay.
but now I feel nothing for it.
Wow. That's intense. I don't know what to do with that.
I mean, there
know
were
what to do with
moments.
that.
I'll give it a 1. I'm not going to give it a 0.
Okay.
There were moments in it that, like the donkey scene, I guess it still made me feel fear
Yeah,
and like a little bit of something like not real fear. I don't want anyone to get carried away thinking I'm actually putting a nightlight on tonight and I'm going to be quivering in my jammies because that's
I'll let
simply
you guys
not
know
the
if
case.
that is what happened.
It's not going to happen, but it did make me feel something, and that might have been the only time that this movie made me feel anything. So I just don't know. Like, if
Yeah,
I'm
I
judging it
see
by
that.
now standards,
Yeah, I get that.
I just don't know. I think it helped improve my life when I was a child,
Yeah.
but now I don't think I get anything from it now.
I get that. I totally get that.
So yeah, I think it's a 1.
Yeah.
It's a no from me, dog, and for that reason, I'm out.
For that reason, we're out.
Yeah. All right.
That's the end.
That's it. It's all over now. You can
Yeah.
all leave now. Except wait. Stop. Don't go anywhere because
Mm-hmm.
we want to tell you that you can contact us on the old Instagram for updates, eh?
Yes. At Movie Voyage Pod.
That's right, at Movie Voyage Pod. You can also review us, give us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts or whatever your equivalent pod catching application is.
Let us know how much you love us.
And yes, absolutely let us know how much you love us. And if you don't quite love us yet, but you're feeling motivated enough to leave a review, leave us 5 stars anyway. But then you can tell us what you really think in the review. But 5 stars, no matter what.
Yeah.
Even if you kind of don't like us and you really want to let us know that you don't like us, 5 stars.
Yeah. That will get our attention.
It'll ensure that we read it.
Yep.
And I've done this on other podcasts, and maybe I'll institute the same policy just in case we have anybody who is so minded. Mm-hmm. But if anybody leaves a 5-star review, maybe we'll start reading them out on the show.
That would be so fun.
And so if you don't like the show, that'd be a great way to protest. We'll have to read our own negative review.
We'll have to read it.
That's right.
Yeah, I love that.
All right, there you go.
Sounds great.
All right, well, thanks all for watching and listening.
Thank you all. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Wish upon a star tonight.
I'm going to keep that nightlight on.